Lord quickened me that there's another thing that I need to go over with you, and that's the difference of the gifts of healings, plural, and the gifts of miracles. Because we need to be able to discern whether we're praying for healings or we're praying for a miracle. And it isn't always clear to people. I can remember that a new minister came to our Baptist church in Okemos, and his wife had cancer, and he asked me would I mind praying with her, and I said, yeah, it's fine, but I'd like to have you there. No, I don't want to be there. Generally, I wouldn't pray for a child or a wife in the absence of a husband, because he is the spiritual authority. Just like the centurion taught us that story of the centurion when he said that here's a man under authority and new people under authority, and people do this, and I can tell you, Jesus, you're a person under authority, so I don't even have to be there. You just say the word. So authority is a very important part. So in this circumstance, with this battle, your local authority is Pastor Chuck, and you're under his authority. And if you get out from under that authority, if you get whipped, you'll know to come back under his authority to do these things. I'm here today under his authority. I'm not here under the authority of my own. And basically, Carol and I are here to help Pastor Chuck and Susan. We think, and if you look in the Bible, there are ministries called HELPS, H-E-L-P-S, that's us. So we're to help. You guys are to fight, we're just here to help. Well, let us know how you do it. But this pastor's wife, so I went, okay, fine, if you don't want to be there. So I talked with her, and we started going over the things that we went here, and I asked her if she had any unforgiveness, and make a long story short, yes, I do. Oh, okay, good, well, let's get rid of that. No. So I talked a little bit. I thought, well, maybe we can get some illumination here. And the answer was no. So I went back to the pastor and I said, well, I did talk with your wife and I was willing to pray with her, but I didn't know if it'd even be fruitful to pray with her because she's carrying this unforgiveness for the circumstance of the church you were last at and says she doesn't want to let go of that. And so I know by scripturally her prayers can't be answered, so I guess I could intercede for her, but she didn't even want to intercede to get rid of unforgiveness. So I don't think there's anywhere to go. So the other people in the church heard about that and made fun of me and saying he wouldn't even pray for her because she has this unforgiveness. I said, well, I think it's a pretty big deal. About 2 years later, I wasn't in that church anymore. And I got a call from a couple of people and said, well, the pastor's wife is in a coma and she's dying of cancer spread throughout her body. How should we pray for healing? I said, you're not praying for healing. You're praying for a miracle. And so I think I'm just kind of careful enough, careful to do and careful to hear. There is a difference if God would not put down there's the gifts of healing and gifts of miracles, gifts of praying for healings and gifts of miracles. So I said I would just shift my prayer to praying for a miracle. And she passed away. Well, miracles are pretty uncommon, so what you're praying for is something pretty uncommon, so you can't expect a common result. And it's a whole area that I've been a little hesitant to pray in because I didn't want to ruin my medical reputation by being a doctor who is having miracles going on all the time. And just being truthful, and not screwing up my reputation by praying for miracles. I have, but I just was careful about that. I didn't mind praying for healings, but miracles I thought was a little weird. Well, about 4 years ago, my daughter had a premature child, twins that were delivered prematurely, asked me to be there. I was there. And the maternal grandfather and maternal grandmother were there. The maternal grandmother said, we better pray for healing because she's going to go in and have delivery. I said, no, we're going to pray for a miracle because healing isn't the issue here. These kids are, 2 children are compromised. They're this early in the pregnancy. Death is imminent for both of them. And so I prayed for a miracle. Within a day, the 1.5 pound baby girl died. The little boy lived. And every day the nurses came in over these next couple months, they all came to look at his crib because they couldn't believe he was still there after the shift. He had every complication you can imagine, and he had, because he was premature, he had his bowel die, so he had to have an operation to have a resection of his bowel. They subsequently transferred him from Lansing to another intensive care unit in Grand Rapids. And I was around then, but then I had a trip to Europe, so I went to Europe. And when I was in Europe, I learned on one day that he had meningitis, pneumonia, and renal shutdown. Well, I went, okay, well, we're going to keep praying. Remember, I prayed for a miracle, I'll keep praying. I remember we were in Italy, and so I was praying, and the Lord spoke to me and said, "It's over." So I said to Carol, well, he died. I was afraid to call back and ask about it. He's 4 years old and never been sick since that day. And he's had one eye, he doesn't have good vision. Often these children with multiple transfusions are blind. He has a gallstone of cholesterol because of the multiple transfusions. He has no mental deficiency. He's cute as a dickens and as sharp as a tack, and even a lot of fun at age 4. I mean, he's just got a keen mind for fun. And he doesn't have cerebral palsy or anything like that. But you need to differentiate what you're praying for. And know that if you're praying for a miracle, you're praying for something somewhat unusual. Okay? So I wanted you to have that in your mind so that you're not foolishly out there praying for healing for an upper respiratory infection is different from terminal cancer, so you're more severe illness.